I've worked so hard to be strong and healthy, and I can't believe this happened to me.
I don't know. It's kind of a strange deal because I'm a very positive person. I'm very happy, and, no one ever thinks of me as having problems, and they're usually shocked when they find out.
I have been suffering from insomnia since July, and that's, to me, almost worse than, I'm finding it almost worse than the chemotherapy, because I thought with the chemotherapy I'd have an end date.
If a client comes to me and says, on a scale of 1 to 10, my life is a 3, my next question is, why so high? And they say, what do you mean? I say, well, why isn't it a 2 or a 1? They go, well, yeah, I guess it's not a 1. Well, my son's really a great kid, and I'm having a good time with him, and my mother's been supporting me through the divorce, and I go, great. So what would it take to move it to a 4 for you?
I've tried lots of things, but each time I had surgery done, it seemed like, oh, you got a 40–60% chance, 60% chance of being better. I was always in the 40%,
Emotion. The pain of her loss. It's very hard. I lost a woman that I loved so much. I lost a very beautiful woman. The accident took place about 5 minutes from the bridge, and that's where Raquel's life ended. Just dealing with the pain. Every day, it doesn't stop, on and on. It doesn't turn off.
If someone can be traumatized in 30 seconds, why can't they be healed in a day, an hour, a minute?
I'm trying to find something positive in each day because there's just so much of that fear-driven, unknown, what lies ahead.
We're seeing that there are some direct influences on the body's physical health that's directly related to the link between our emotional body, our energetic body, our physical body, our spiritual body, just the holistic aspects of who we are.
Joy doesn't cause block. It's anger, guilt, anxiety, and depression that cause blocks.
We're just beginning to take a look at who we are.
If I can stand up in front of a room and especially talk to a group of people and not feel nervous, number one, the message is going to come through better. I'm going to be way more effective. I'll be able to communicate my message better. But it just brings a whole new element into what I'm capable of doing.
Each of us is, has the potential to be extraordinary, to be brilliant, to do anything we want to do.
We have to start from that belief and change these beliefs of who we are. We are profoundly powerful people.
People drive by and shout, hang in there, sweetheart, L4 to, they'd shout out their spinal injuries. So I didn't feel quite as self-conscious as when I got here, and I could tell people on the street or at work were like, is that fashion?
I've been suffering from a health challenge for quite some time. I feel like a 500-pound anvil in my head weighing it down. Feels like my whole head's going to explode. Feels like there's a fire inside of my head.
When there's pain in the body, that's a signal that something is not in harmony with the laws of the universe, with God's laws.
I'm not able, just through diet and a little bit of exercise, to make any difference.
Every day I'm dealing with the past, so how am I to look at the future?
I love my life. I love where I live. I love everything that I do. But if I quit smoking within 3 or 4 days, I don't like anything I do.
Because we've been so programmed to devalue ourselves and disempower ourselves, that we look at ourselves as victims and frail biological entities, ripe for bacteria to eat us up and all these other things. It's like, this is totally untrue.
Thinking about this process you're stuck in, or this cycle.
Every person I meet is like waiting to unwrap a package. Wow, who's in there? And watch them come alive as they realign with who they really are, and you watch their eyes light up and they get excited.
If everything else fails, try this, Oh! My back is a big problem for me.
There's something emotional that keeps me going back to that cigarette. And it's very exciting for me to find out what that might be.
I think it's exciting that I'm going to have this opportunity. It's really unique.
When everything is said and done, I want to look back and be able to know that I tried absolutely everything. I did everything I could.
I don't know what to expect. I'm very excited about going.
When you follow your heart, you're following what seems to be your destiny. And as you follow it, it seems like the road gets easier. The only time there's bumps on the road is when you have inner beliefs that are still limiting you from enjoying it.
All I know is that there is a technique that's going to help me get better. I was looking on it on the net, and something about tapping. Tapping. I saw people doing this. I don't know what else. I was looking at people doing this and this. I was like, and this, and I was like, what is that?
What I often say is, okay, you know what? I have this little technique that I think might really be helpful here. Now, it might seem a little strange, but if you're willing to play along and work with me, let's just give it a try and see what happens.
EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, is an intervention to release emotional stuck energy. It is a tool that allows you to release what's blocking the powers of healing.
If there's an emotional trauma, something happens, something I watch on CNN, something that happens to a friend of mine, something that happens to me, there is an energetic disruption that occurs. And what we do with EFT is we bring some soothing to that.
EFT is a technique where you bring a problem to mind, trauma for example, and you tap on your body like this.
And we do that while tapping into a particular emotional state, a feeling in the body, and by doing that, we're soothing it.
When I first learned about EFT, and I learned that he was talking about tapping on different points on your body, I think I was skeptical, but I was also desperate.
If I can start to open up and release some of these feelings that I've had in the past and clear away some experiences that are no longer relevant.
There's no way I can't change. I'm just going to get better. I have to. There's no possible way.
God, I just have so much, you know, that I need to work on to kind of save my life.
I think it was Thomas Edison who said, if we did everything we could that we were capable of, we would literally astound ourselves.
The problem is we've been trained out of that, you know, by our conditioning, by schools, by the television.
People are looking outside of themselves for the answer, and the truth and the answer is inside of us.
So I think we've got to take a look at who we are and what we've got and how we function, and then begin to apply this information in a practical manner to improve the quality of our life, because life is meant to be enjoyed.
"4 days where we're going to be in a room with, there's 10 of us, including myself.
I come and I go, ebb and I flow, wherever life takes me, 'cause I don't really know if I'm awake in a dream, if it's quite what it seems, or whether I'll see you in the next scene.
If you could live your life over, what would you wish hadn't happened? What would you remove?
What have you been thinking on the way over?
Oh man, what haven't I been thinking? You know, and just try to get my life back, you know, where it once was. It'll never be the same way, but, you know, just find a way out of this pain.
We're going to be with people who are going to be helping us work through whatever the issues are.
Clear a space in your soul, prepared to let go. Been staring at illusions now for far too long.
It feels like it's time. I mean, I've been going through this craziness for years, you know, 7+ years. So I'm really excited for the outcome, to find my life, find good health.
I'm Zevis.
All right, you a roommate?
Yeah, I guess so.
Good man. I'm Sam.
Sam?
Pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
This is what you're here for. And it's time to get rid of what I call slow incremental growth and just make a quantum leap into the full expression of the brilliance of who you are. And everybody has that capacity.
I come and I go, ebb and I flow, wherever life takes me, 'cause I don't really know.
There's going to be 3 sessions going on at most times. One will be up here, and there'll be a practitioner and someone working, and then a couple people watching. There'll be another one in a room that's being filmed, and there's a third one that's not being filmed. In terms of what we're doing, what's EFT? Every day, imagine downloading 100 units of power or $100 that come into your energetic bank account. And you have something happen when you're 10 years old and it upsets you and you have anger towards it. And you take $2 and you pay that there. But the problem is that you don't just pay that there once, you pay it every day. All right, so $2 we can do, $98 gets you through the day. But what happens is now you have age 15, $3 here, 2 days ago, $1 here, and you end up either bankrupt or in debt. And what I like to visualize EFT doing is bringing that power back. So it's going to be, I'd like my $2 back from that anger, we're done with that transaction, and now I've got it back in myself.
Where is your energy going? It's going where you focus. So if you're focused on the fight that you had last week, or you're focused on the meeting with your boss next week, that's where your energy is draining out of your body.
When we get scared, or when we have a trauma, small trauma or a large trauma, often there are blocks that get created in the pathways of that energy system.
It's just the energy slows down and feels heavy, and it contradicts our core true self and the natural frequency we're meant to be at, which are at those higher levels.
Energy is supposed to flow through us as a waveform. You know, it just comes in. The word emotion, energy in motion. And so we say we're emotionally moved by something. So when I allow myself to be moved and feel what it is and let it pass through me, then there's no blockages.
As a massage therapist, I remember touching a woman's hip and she vividly remembering almost running off a cliff. Now this memory had been stored in her hip 3 times. Even though my immune system is failing me right now, I deeply and completely accept myself.
I think the statement that even though I have this fill-in-the-blank problem, I deeply love, accept, and forgive myself while tapping right here is the single most powerful thing you can do, in my opinion, when it comes to tapping.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
I accept myself.
I accept myself.
I don't have to believe it.
I don't have to believe
Because
it.
now I'm in control.
The reality is it's the inability to accept yourself with whatever fault you perceive that you have that's preventing you from moving forward. And I usually tell people, you know, you'll figure that out in just a few minutes because you'll feel it in your body. You'll feel it in the body's energy system as you begin to embrace it.
I want new knees.
I want new knees.
I must have new knees.
I must have new knees.
My knees are no good.
My knees are no good.
They do keep me moving, but not well enough. Not good enough. My knees are not perfect.
These are not perfect.
My knees 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 are not perfect.
Take a deep breath.
Okay, that's much better.
Okay. Why don't you stand up for a moment?
Okay.
Let me know how they're feeling.
All the shame, this shame in my body. All the shame in my body.
I don't forgive myself.
I don't forgive myself.
Under the I refuse to forgive myself. Under the nose, it's unforgivable.
What is something that you might feel when the pain shoots up?
Anger.
Yeah. Even though I'm angry at me or angry at...
Frustrated.
We often are ignoring those areas of our lives, our characters that need real attention. And if we ignore them long enough, they begin as a little whisper saying, hey, pay attention to me, I'm here for healing. Eventually they're saying, hey, pay attention, your body needs some work right now. If we keep on ignoring those small symptoms and small issues, eventually our body is screaming and saying, hey, pay attention to me right now, or else.
Who do you think might be represented by that pain in your back? What conflict do you think is being stored in your knee? What do you think is going on that would make your shoulder act up that way, you know, every time you have the pain?
Maybe the problem is the work that it goes into it, because it's work. It's mental, it's chilling out, it's focusing on what the issues are, it's analyzing your body. I've trained myself the last years not to think about how I'm feeling. And that's all we're doing here is how you feeling, where, how, why. And it's just like, shut up, I just want to go to bed. I don't want to think about it. So
what happens many times when we develop some disease or problem, we disconnect ourselves from the body and we do other things. We don't want to feel deeply.
There are many thoughts that cause tremendous emotion in us, but emotion is feeling, and it is physiological, and that's why it has great effects on our health and our physical state.
We're getting stuck as people in patterns of thought and emotion that keep us from healing.
We are challenged so much by the world we live in today, and we didn't evolve to live in this world with these kinds of stresses. We're on overload. But if you learn how to get your body out of overload, I mean, you can have control over what happens in your life.
So I think that we've got some work to do that we could do on the accident and the feelings around the accident.
And I can release the grief.
I can release the grief
from my body.
From my body.
And my mind.
And my mind.
I can release the grief.
To bring something into your energy system and the energy field, to tap on it, you simply imagine it as vividly as you can. You want to create an image of it in your mind. You want to imagine feeling it, being there. It's not very complicated. If something's worrying you, you usually can imagine it pretty quickly.
A monster. I was a monster. And when I came back from Vietnam, I was waiting for that monster to erupt. And I was afraid that I couldn't control him, because I knew what I could do. I knew what I was capable of doing, and that was killing people.
For many people, this may be the first time that you're honest about what you're feeling. But once you do, you'll feel it in your body.
You know, they're a son, a father, a brother.
Right.
You know,
even though there's no more life in those bodies.
There's no more life in those bodies.
Even though my mother's anger is in my back, I deeply and completely accept myself anyway. Even though what happened 2 years ago is still showing up in my knee. And it's a wonderful way to clear that emotionally.
He did scare me.
He did scare me.
He scared me.
Whether he wanted to or not.
Whether he wanted to or not.
He scared me.
He scared me.
He scared me. That I might not walk.
That I might not walk.
I've worked so hard.
I've worked very hard.
To get what I have. And he took it away.
Your emotional system is meant to be a guidance system to guide you in your life path, that when you're on the path, you feel good. When you're veering off, that's a feedback system to say, not such a good choice.
Whenever we have an emotion, positive or negative, it sends signals chemically to our body. So it releases this series of reactions in our vascular system, in our respiratory system, in our endocrine system. So they're always affecting us. We have siblings. That's where we learn everything, is really what do people say to each other? How do they respond after an argument? What do they do when there's tension? And kids pick all of that up. They know when there's tension in the room.
You know what a razor strap is? It's a piece of leather that the old barbers used to sharpen their straight-edge razors. And so when I wouldn't do something my father wanted me to do, he'd get the razor strap out and just whip me. And it seemed like every day, and I don't know if it was every day, but it was several times a week.
Why am I carrying this?
Why am I carrying this?
Why am I carrying this sadness?
Why am I carrying this sadness?
Why can't I bring it down to a zero?
Why can't I bring it down to a zero?
What happened? Why did you say?
Now I just understood why I'm feeling so sad.
Why?
Because if this hadn't happened, maybe my relationship with my father could have been much better.
Stay tuned into that. This relationship.
What's really important is to be willing to work to get to the root cause of what's going on. And that generally comes up as a thought, a memory, an idea, an image, or, something that's generated from within.
Get together with a group of friends and brainstorm what are the things your parents said to you growing up that you think are still limiting you. If you get 5 or 6 people together and do that, and people start thinking things like, well, eat all the food on your plate, the kids in China are starving, then you go, today if I go to a salad bar and I take a lot of food, even if I'm full, I keep eating it because I don't want the children in China to starve, whatever. So that brainstorming technique can come out with a lot of things. Children should be seen and not heard. You'll never amount to anything. Your father was a drunk, so you'll be a drunk too. And You know, no women in this family have ever gone to college, and what makes you think you can, and you've got to hide your feelings, and don't air your dirty laundry in public. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff we got.
Depending on how old you are, you have millions and millions of events that have caused that reaction biochemically in your body, and what have you done with it? Buried it, forgotten it, put it aside. Maybe you had a bigger stress that was more important, so that took precedence.
When you're feeling bad, look at what thoughts you're thinking. And then if they're limiting beliefs that have been habitual, because a belief is just a thought you think over and over and over.
I feel that he power trips over me, and I feel like he's always blaming me for something, making me feel inadequate.
I just can't possibly do it. Other people can plan their week. I just can't seem to plan my week. Things always come up, and I just can't even get it on paper.
I don't feel like I should have a happy family. That's my family. Because I destroyed all these other families.
What I found is when you state the limiting belief, like I'm not good enough, I'm afraid, I don't know where money's going to come from, I don't know if my business is going to succeed. I mean, there's all kind of beliefs that are unique to the person. When you state that, you're not anchoring the belief. You are releasing the belief.
When I said self-blame or I blame myself, did that resonate with you?
Oh, I blame myself for everything, so yes.
Okay? Say out loud, it's my fault.
It's my fault.
It's all my fault.
It's all my fault.
They wouldn't help me. They blame me for the accident.
And I'm angry about it.
I'm very angry about it. It's not fair.
Under the nose, haven't I suffered enough?
Haven't I suffered enough?
99% of the time. When people name the issue accurately and are allowed to finally say, I'm resentful, or I'm so profoundly hurt, or the betrayal, I thought the betrayal was going to kill me. When they say it out loud, they might cry, but they are completely relieved. Say out loud, I chose a lousy partner.
I chose a lousy partner.
How true is that?
He's still a lousy person.
I'm afraid to get better.
I'm afraid to get better.
Because it's going to threaten my brother.
He is going to threaten my brother.
How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels that. Very probable.
Very probable. Okay. So there is a possibility you could be holding on to the symptoms so that he doesn't get upset.
Or threatened.
Yeah. The first thing you have is someone who says, I want to change. What is it that you're trying to change in your life? What do you think the block to changing is? And the best question is, what's the downside to changing? That is the best question you can ask someone, and they'll say, never thought of that before, or they have the answers for you. And they know why they don't want to change. They know why they're afraid.
We're always going to have problems. This is the nature of the human experience. What you do about them, however, is up to you.
What are the obstacles? What are the traumas? What are the moments in time where you formed a belief about something that keeps you stuck, and really working through those and working through the different levels as well.
Even though I feel guilty.
Because I chose such a lousy partner.
Because I chose such a lousy partner.
Even though my brother tells me I'm not good enough.
Even though my brother tells me that I'm not good enough.
And I keep trying to fight that.
And I keep trying to fight that.
It's not true.
It's not true.
Eyebrow, this remaining guilt.
This remaining guilt.
This incredible sadness.
This incredible sadness.
It's all my fault.
It's all my fault.
It's always my fault.
It's always my fault.
That's who I am.
That's who I am.
I'm so comfortable blaming myself.
I'm so comfortable blaming myself.
That's who I am.
That's who I am.
I always say to people, what's the pebble in your shoe? What's bothering you? And where is your focus and attention? And then that helps them come up with the reasons that they're draining their energy. What are they focused on? What interaction? What conflict? And that helps them then get a target for EFT.
I remember doing a seminar for a Benedictine Abbey down in Florida. And many of the monks there were there out of guilt, not out of a desire to be closer to God. One guy had taken an entire troop up the Rhine River during World War II. Everyone was killed but him, and he was the leader. So he came back, went on about a 3-week drunk, and then basically joined the monastery. And I said, so why did you join? He said, because I didn't believe I deserved to have any more pleasure in my life. I did to kind of abrogate that. And so this sense of unworthiness is a big issue for people.
Say out loud. Now I'm just testing him, right? I don't deserve to have a happy family.
I don't deserve to have a happy family.
How true does that feel, 0 to 10?
It's way down. Way down.
Could you give it a number? 2. From a 10 to a 2. If your vibration is, I don't deserve to have a happy family, and it's as high as a 10, when it goes down to a 2, your vibration is different, your behavior is different, how you talk to people, how you stand, your posture, everything will be different if your vibration changes that much.
There's a beautiful word dealing with beliefs called praxis.
Praxis. It's an excellent word. Praxis is the integration of belief with behavior. You'll often hear people say, yeah, I believe that I can do a lot better than I'm doing, but they don't do it. Why? They believe it intellectually, but their paradigm doesn't believe it. They're saying, I believe I could multiply my income, but their paradigm is saying, you just never have enough money. So you see, we have beliefs on a conscious level, and they're beliefs we normally discuss in social situation, in conversation. But if you watch the person that's saying that they believe this, they believe that, watch their behavior and their results would indicate they've never heard of it.
Positive thinking is a creative thought that comes from the conscious mind. Okay, so if I have a thought for being healthy or being in a good relationship, and I'm doing positive thinking, and at the same time, I have acquired programs in my development that said, you're not as healthy as you think you are, and you're not that good a person to have those kind of relationships. Then look, I'm now pitting my positive thoughts against my programs, and they're opposite.
What you fight against gets stronger. It doesn't get weaker. What you resist persists, as the old saying goes.
I believe that's gone, but the addiction to the nicotine is still there. But I think with cutting down now and controlling the emotional part of it is gonna help me quit.
The cravings went down, so he knew immediately it would work on the craving. The issue for him was, what was he going to do instead?
It's not just about the craving, because we can crave anything, we don't have to act out on it. It's all the things that are causing the craving. Addiction is the reason why people use a substance, alcohol, drugs, or whatever, is because it works. If it didn't work, they wouldn't be using it.
Not only have I been just stuck with these addictions, I also have been living with just this horrible fear and so many scars that have just caused me to act out so much ever since. I was raped when I was younger, hurt my family and hurt myself, and I've had nightmares, honestly, every single night, to the point where my husband doesn't sleep in the same bed as me anymore because I scare him, because I shake at night, or I start crying, or I scream in my dreams. This weekend is the first 3 days, 3 nights that I haven't had nightmares.
She changed, she transformed, she's glowing now, and she laughs. She's so full of life too, and excitement about what's ahead. Even though she has some major journeys and hurdles ahead of her, she seems really committed to them and strong.
Everybody. I think this was a life-changing experience for everybody that attended here, and maybe for the people that watched.
I think we're all looking for something to help us feel better, but in a real way. This isn't just taking a pill. This is we're engaged, we're involved in this process.
It's such a simple, powerful technique that so many people can use to improve their lives and their families' lives.
You can use it almost anywhere. If you can use it in the middle of a baseball game, you can use it when you need a break and you run to the bathroom. I tell my clients, drink a lot of water, no one will question why you're going to the bathroom in the middle of the board meeting. And you can go in there and tap a little bit, you can even say it in your head, and you can come out more resourceful.
EFT is, I consider it the people's method. It's there for all of us, and literally at our fingertips.
I just wish I'd learned this 30 years ago, 39 years ago. But I'm just thankful I've learned it now.
Every emotion you go through with a diagnosis like cancer, or any illness for that matter, and you can take this technique and just experience it, feel it, and then let it go, and really free yourself of a lot of the anxiety, the fear, and some of the heavier emotions.
It's wonderful for nightmares and anxiety that kids have going to school.
Kids are making up their mind. We've got to change ours. It's a lot easier to make up your mind than it is to change it.
So to be able to have the resources where kids are able to clear out those kind of traumas that day,
you know, right within a few hours. So it doesn't even affect the rest of their day, much less the rest of their life.
I certainly hope that it'll be used in schools with children. I think that that's a really wonderful, there's such a wonderful opportunity there.
You know, and what that person is going to go on and achieve in life because they're going to share their gifts and talents because they're not feeling blocked by the fact that they were laughed at from some simple little event that happens, you know, all the time.
Because that's where things start, right? Something happens in school and it upsets them and they decide that the older kids are always bad because of one thing that happened with the bully in 8th grade. And if we could just collapse those conflicts and those events at the end of every day or the end of every week, those children would grow up with more confidence, less insecurity, less vulnerability to being hurt by other people.
I believe that every person is born as a cell in this human body. And if we all achieve our full potential, you know, I might be a liver cell and you're a kidney cell and someone's an eyeball cell and someone else is a lung cell. And if all the cells are doing what they're supposed to do, then the whole world works. Problem is when we try to be what we're not, or try to deny what we really truly feel and want to do, that then we get like cancer cells in the body that are not aligned with what the rest of the purpose of the body is.
Our beliefs of competition and warfare and struggle and survival completely miss the point. It's really based on loving, harmony, thriving, community, cooperation. These are the words of life.
If I'm going around and I'm at peace, I'm naturally going to be nicer to other people. And if I'm being nicer to other people, then hopefully they're going to pick up on that and they'll be nicer to other people, and suddenly you've got this chain reaction.
It could transform the entire culture because they'll have the tool, they'll be using it, and then you'll be preventing future illness. It's the ultimate prevention.
It's spreading so fast. I think this will be standard, you know, kind of like, you know, if you get the hiccups and someone goes, boo, you know, because, you know, if you scare yourself, your hiccups go away. I think it's going to be as common knowledge as that.
I think there's a spiritual transition taking place in the world. People are starting to understand spirit. People are starting to understand energy. People are starting to understand themselves as an energy field and the fact that they can work with it to get the results they want. There are critics, and there's quite a few, but they're changing very fast.
If you don't know about these processes, these mechanisms, we're ignorant of these facts, and then things happen to us, of course we don't know what's going on, and what can I do about it? Nobody told me. But once you know, then you can't go back and do that anymore. You can say, okay, history, everything that happened to me up to this point, I was oblivious to, I was ignorant of, I don't know.